everyone. It's a lovely day for me to present in my presentation today. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Nurdiana Mensara binti Muhammad Kamrul Saman, and I'm from class A4 AS 1201B. And my student ID is 2024945575. Okay. So today I'm going to present about chemical symbols and the naming compound. So what is chemical symbols? When we see or hear the word chemical symbols, we know that it's an abbreviation for chemical elements in periodic table. Like for example, H, we see H in the periodic table. So when we see H, we know that it's in hydrogen. O represent oxygen, and etc. You can refer the periodic table for more element symbol and their full name. Next, I'm going to talk about the importance of chemical symbol. So, the importance of chemical symbol are to simplify the sharing of information about elements and compound by providing a clear and easy method to representing the elements. Now imagine you have to write those chemical elements' name without using its symbol for 10 times. Wouldn't it be much more harder? And instead, you could just write their symbol. On this slide, we can see these three are the most common chemical symbol that we found, and also these elements are the most common that frequently found in Earth and also in the universe. So, hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most frequently found element in this universe. Like, we can find it on our body, on the water, and more. Oxygen and carbon too. In this slide, you can see these elements. So, most of the elements were named after their characteristics, materials they were taken from, the places they were discovered, mythological creatures, or the people that discovered them. In this slide, we have the periodic table of elements. There are 180 chemical elements listed in this periodic table in a specific order. So, in the periodic table, we have halogen, transition metal, alkali metal, and much more. As you can see, they were places in specific order like I said earlier. Okay, next, rules on how to name a new element in the periodic table are set up by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC or IUPAC. These are the organization that name those elements in the periodic table. IUPAC is responsible for creating a constant naming systems, or also known as terminology. So this system for naming chemical compounds provide a standard language for scientists worldwide, which they make the scientists' work easier and faster. So we are moving on to naming compound. What is compounds? Compound is a substance containing two or more elements that are chemically bonded. So, components of a compound alongside their relative amount is called a chemical formula. It has both chemical elements and its number. For example, we have carbon dioxide. So, its symbol is CO2. C represents carbon atom. While O, it have two oxygen atoms, and it is because of the subscript 2. You can see in this slide, it is representing the CO2. O on both sides between the C, which is carbon. We are going to naming ionic compound. So, ionic compound is composed of both metal and non-metal. These are the rules on how to name ionic compound. A metal will always come first in a chemical formula, followed by a non-metal. For example, we have sodium chloride. Sodium is a metal, as you can see in the periodic table, and chloride is a non-metal. An ionic compound with two elements will have named that ends with "ide." For example, copper sulfide. On the third one, a compound with three elements including oxygen will have a name that ends with "ate" or ides. So, like for example, we have sodium sulfate. So anything that, any compounds that have 3 or more elements with oxygen, you have to name it with ades or ides. Covalent compounds. What is covalent compound? Covalent compound has 2 or more non-metals. These are how to name the covalent compounds. The non-metal further to the left on the periodic table come first. For example, carbon. Carbon is the furthest one, so you have to write it on the first, as in the chemical formula. A covalent compound with 2 elements will have a name that ends with "ide". For example, we have sulfur dioxide. On this, you can use the prefixes, for example, mono, di, tri, and tetra, to indicate the number of the element in the molecule. For example, we have carbon tetrachloride, which represents CCl4. This is how to identify the chemical formula. For example, we have potassium bromide, lithium iodide, carbon monoxide, sulfuric acid, and potassium nitrate. This is how you name those chemical formula. Chemical symbols. Chemical symbols are the shorthand or abbreviation to represent elements in chemistry. Each symbol is made up for 1 or 2 letters, with the first letter always capitalized. Next, IUPAC. IUPAC is responsible for the naming system. It is very important for naming those new elements into the periodic table. Compound is also very important. It is to represent the chemical formula which use symbols and subscripts. For today, thank you so much for everyone that listening to my presentation. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and gain more knowledge about these chemical symbols and how to name those compounds.